Okay, for 2 decades, it was like the biggest rumor on Broadway, wasn't it? This idea of a huge rivalry between Kristin Chenoweth and Idina Menzel from Wicked.
Absolutely. So much gossip, so many whispers.
But then, November 2025, boom, the whole narrative just gets blown up. Chenoweth goes on record, says they're not enemies, they're like sisters. And then this line, "We would die for each other." Just wow.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we break down Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and, yeah, celebrity scandals.
We dive into the stories behind the headlines, and today, wow, we are definitely diving deep. We're looking at the sources that finally let us put this legendary Broadway feud myth to bed.
Yeah, our mission today is really to unpack this.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just, a simple, nope, we're friends.
No, not at all. This feels like a masterclass in narrative reframing built up over years.
Exactly. We're going to trace it back to the moment it all started, that Flash Boy, the 2004 Tonys.
Right, and look at that kernel of truth, the fact that they did have different working styles.
And then analyze these big public moments, these acts of loyalty, like that surprise duet that raised, $16,000 for charity?
Insane, all proving this family bond she talked about.
Okay, so let's rewind. Where did this whole feud idea even start? It needed something concrete.
Horses point straight to Wicked's opening, October 2003, but really, it exploded after the 2004 Tony Awards.
Yeah, the show was massive right out of the gate, and everyone was watching them. Idina Menzel, this powerhouse Elphaba, and Kristin Chenoweth, the, perfect Glinda.
And even before the awards, people were talking about how different they were backstage.
But the Tonys, oh boy, that turned the whispers into headlines.
Because they were both nominated. Same category, Best Leading Actress in a Musical, head to head.
And you know how the media loves that? Instant conflict narrative. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose?
It stops being about celebrating the show and starts being about the competition between them.
And then Idina Menzel won.
Right, and suddenly the media had its story. Clean, simple, a winner, a loser.
Never mind that both performances were, revolutionary for musical theater.
Nope. That Tony win became the proof. Proof that the tension everyone kind of suspected was actually this bitter, personal thing.
But what made the rumor stick for so long, I think, was that there was something real underneath it. Not hatred, but difference.
Exactly. Chenoweth admitted it herself in 2025. Their processes were just polar opposites.
Menzel, the quiet introvert, needing her space, intense focus.
Well, Chenoweth was the loud and direct extrovert, thriving on that energy, that interaction.
Yeah, you hear those backstage stories. They operated so differently.
Sources said they were constantly bumping into each other just because their needs clashed. One needs quiet, the other wants to engage.
And that difference, that little kernel of truth, that's what the gossip machine grabbed onto.
But, and this is the crucial part, professional difference isn't personal hate.
And this brings us to, what kept this engine running for 20 years.
Yeah, what was fueling it?
It's fascinating, and Menzel herself talked about this back in 2023. She pointed to cultural conditioning, or let's just call it what it is, misogyny.
Oh yeah, that quote was powerful.
She said, unfortunately, people like to do that to women. They can't be supportive of one another. You have to put all this conflict in there.
It's so true. It kind of shifts the focus, doesn't it? It's not just about them. It's about how we, the audience, the media, how we react to powerful women.
Exactly. The feud narrative stuck around not because there was tons of evidence, but because a catfight. That's a story people are sadly conditioned to want, especially between two stars at the top of their game.
It's easier than understanding a complex relationship, right? Two very different, ambitious artists who might respect each other despite their differences. Nah, too boring.
The good girl versus bad girl thing, Glinda versus Elphaba, it was just too neat, too easy. The narrative just filled the gap where complexity should have been.
Okay, but let me push back a little here. If it was always sisterly, why the silence? Why wait nearly 20 years until 2023 to really start pushing back against the myth?
That's a fair question.
Couldn't the rivalry have been real, maybe just for a bit, after the Tonys? And they only patched things up later. How do the sources explain that massive time gap?
That's a really critical point. The sources seem to suggest the silence wasn't about confirming hatred, but more about protecting something private and complex. Maybe they needed professional distance for a while, but the core loyalty was still there. And the shift around the 20th anniversary in 2023, it wasn't necessarily a reconciliation, but maybe a strategic decision.
Strategic how?
Like deciding their shared history, that unique bond, was finally strong enough, maybe public enough, to actively fight back against that old narrative.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us to that final definitive statement in November 2025. Chenoweth in The Hollywood Reporter. And the context there, it's really
Well,
important.
hugely important. She wasn't just chatting casually. She was dealing with this other, completely separate social media thing that she said had nearly broke me.
Wow.
So when she pivots from that low point, that vulnerability, to talking about her bond with Menzel, that declaration of loyalty, it hits 10 times harder.
It's like saying, this is who I stand with when things get tough.
Exactly. And she used that moment brilliantly. First, she kind of validates the perception of difference, right? She says, we are so different in the way we do our process that, of course, rumors are going to fly, right?
Yeah, that's smart. It acknowledges what people saw.
It totally diffuses it. She's saying, yeah, we're different. I get why you thought that. But then she completely flips the conclusion. But different doesn't mean hate. She explains the source of the perceived conflict to neutralize its power.
And then comes the big one, that loyalty statement, establishing them as this unbreakable unit. She and I, only we know what we went through. We would die for each other.
That phrase, only we know, that's everything. It takes it beyond friendship, beyond just colleagues.
Yeah.
It speaks to that shared experience, that pressure cooker of originating those roles in Wicked. The rewrites, the physical toll, the instant insane fame.
Stuff nobody else could possibly understand unless they were right there.
Exactly. Shared trauma, shared triumph. It makes the whole they'd kill each other for a role idea seem, well, kind of ridiculous in comparison.
And the final stroke of genius, the thing that solved the whole friend or enemy riddle after 20 years, the sisters analogy.
That was it, the perfect metaphor. She said, so it's like sisters. Are sisters always perfect? No. But it's family. That's the best way I can describe it.
It works so well. It allows for the clashes, the differences. Are sisters always perfect? No. That validates all those backstage stories.
But then the knockout punch, but it's family. It makes the bond fundamental, structural, unbreakable. It's not just a contract. It's who they are to each other.
And this wasn't just one interview out of the blue. You mentioned 2023. We can actually see them starting to build this counter-narrative together around the Wicked 20th anniversary.
Oh yeah, that 2023 Vulture piece felt very coordinated. That's when Chenoweth dropped that bomb about the 2004 Tonys.
Right. She revealed her mom was battling cancer at the time.
That single piece of information, it just changes everything about how you might perceive her reaction that night.
Totally. Any look on her face, anything seen as sore loser before, suddenly becomes distraught daughter. It injects so much humanity into it.
And she also downplayed the rivalry aspect by saying she didn't even expect to win, because professionally, structurally, it's Elphaba's story, using the show itself to explain the logic of Menzel's win.
Smart.
And Menzel, in that same interview, she gave us that beautiful line about their bond during the show, talking about singing for good every night.
Yeah, she said, we would always look at each other and say, I got you, you got me. Like this private pact.
Ah.
That's lovely.
But the biggest, most public proof, the real drama, that came in April 2025 at Menzel's new show, Redwood.
Oh, the surprise appearance. That was amazing.
Right, at a Broadway Cares fundraiser during Idina's show. Chenoweth just shows up.
Yeah.
And they auction off an impromptu duet.
And raised $16,000. Two bidders paying $8,000 each.
For them to sing for good, of course. And the descriptions of it, it wasn't polished. It was reportedly messy, playful, Menzel joking she'd forget the words.
Like real family singing together.
Exactly. It was the living embodiment of, are sisters always perfect? No. Real active love and support, not just nostalgia. It showed the bond was current, not just a memory.
And it wasn't just that one moment either. They were making strategic moves together.
Totally. Like their joint cameo in the Wicked movie in 2024, passing the torch, the wand and broom to Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. That's collaboration, not competition.
A powerful image. And then the joint magazine cover for Out the Advocate's Pride issue in 2025.
Yeah, framing them as this united front for LGBTQ plus equality, not divas at war.
Every public move after 2023 seemed designed to specifically counteract that old feud narrative. They forced the story to be about partnership.
So when you put it all together, those key quotes really tell the story. You have Menzel in 2023 saying, I got you got me.
Their private promise during the show.
And then Chenoweth in 2025 making that promise public and ultimate. We would die for each other.
It's the same core sentiment, isn't it? Just expressed differently over time. Unconditional loyalty.
Exactly. The real story, when you dig into the sources, it's just so much richer, so much more interesting than this simple catfight the world wanted to believe.
Which really makes you think, doesn't it? If this massive, decades-long rivalry was actually this complex sisterly bond misrepresented by the media.
Yeah. How many other famous female feuds throughout history, Bette Davis and Joan Crawford, maybe even Mariah and J-Lo, how many were actually just complicated professional relationships that got twisted into a catfight? Because that's the story we're conditioned to expect.
Something to definitely chew on. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.